Alright guys, so this is what I got today. I got a bunch of stuff ordered. Hopefully it's going to be coming in within the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow, this week is a kind of like a holiday week. You know, we got Thanksgiving on Thursday. So, but I've already got a couple of things in. Waiting on a lot of the major stuff to come in. Decided to rebuild everything. So for the valve train, I've pretty much purchased everything but from Skunk 2. Ordered the intake high compression valves, as well as the springs and titanium retainers. Also ordered a set of Stage 1 Pro Skunk 2 cams. And so those are, I already have the adjustable Skunk 2 cam gears, so I'll just swap those over to these guys. I did resurface this whole deck right here with the sandpaper and that really heavy duty piece of steel. But as you can see, all the cylinders look really, really nice. So I really wasn't worried about it to begin with. And I wasn't going to upgrade the head, but after thinking about it for a while, I'm totally upgrading the bottom end. So I decided, what the heck, now that I have it off, I'll at least upgrade the valves and the springs. Because, you know, I could always come back later and upgrade the cams. But came across this really, really good deal on the set of cams that I just couldn't pass up, so I went ahead and bought those. So hopefully, like I say, I think next week is when they're scheduled to come in. Today, I'm supposed to be getting in the rods and pistons. So what I did today was I just completely tore this down. I went to the auto parts place and I ordered all new valve seals. So those will be in. And like I say, I'm hoping by Friday, I'll be able to get the valves in, so I can at least get those all installed, and lap the valve seats. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Everything's all. Oh, I got my work cut out for me. But you know, it's probably better that this happened now than me getting everything together, get the car running, and then going down the street or going somewhere, and then the car just kind of completely just gives out. So that's what I'm kind of grateful for, that everything happened during the startup and the build up stage. So hopefully now, like I say, I'm waiting for some other pieces to come in. So hopefully, like I say, the rods and the pistons will be in by the end of this week. They're supposed to, like I say, the rods are supposed to be in today, but I still need the King rod bearings. So yeah, I can't do anything till those come in. Oh man, I'm full of sawdust. I'm finishing up a project in the back, and it's been a couple of days since I've actually uploaded or even recorded anything, because I've been waiting on parts to come in. And I placed an order last week, the week before, I guess, right after I took apart the block and started kind of prepping it. I went ahead and ordered some stuff, and they've kind of been trickling in. So far I've got, for the valve train, I've got the Skunk 2 Alpha valves. They're flat face, so they're high compression. I got all of those. I don't have the valve springs in yet, and the titanium retainers. Those should be in, today is Saturday, should be in on Monday or Tuesday. So that's all for the head. I also have a set of Stage 1 Skunk 2 cams coming in as well, and those are going to be in next week too. Also for the head, what else did I get for the head? Oh, well, I got the valve seals. So these guys here are just, you know, stock valve seals that I got from the auto parts store. So got those. Those are ready to go. So I do have the head taken apart, so I can actually start seating the valves. That's why I bought this here. I couldn't find my other one. You know what? I saw this damn thing last week when I was looking through stuff, and this morning I said, okay, I remember where I saw it. I'm gonna go find it, and it's not there. Of course, always happens. But yeah, I got that, and I also got some grinding compound for the valves, so I can seat those. This thing right here that you're looking at, and of course, most of you might know already what this is a block guard, and I'm going to throw that on once I start putting everything together. If you watched the last video, I had a oil cooler on there, and I think somebody mentioned that I should probably run the oil cooler, but you know, if I did run that oil cooler, it would just be more lines and more junk that's kind of just making everything look clumpy or congested. So I bought this because when I took off that oil cooler adapter, it had a really long piece stuck in where you usually tighten up or bolt on or screw on the oil filter. And so I had to get another one. So I bought two of them actually. One for the head that I'm building and one for the head that's in the car right now. And you can see that thing over there. It's a Moroso oil pan, 4-quart. Got that in as well so I can replace the stock one. Really didn't need to, but hey, I'm building the engine, what the heck. Okay, so we'll go with this guy next. This is the replacement plug for the back of the block where the breather goes. I couldn't take off the other one, so I just went ahead and bought them. It was like $10 or something like that, so I bought that. These are the bearings from King Racing for the rods. Got a full set of those, standard size. And these are the rods. So the Scat Racing rods, H-beam, standard size, standard bore. Come on, get out. Jeez. Okay, so this guy, H-beam rods, really strong stuff. They come already with the ARP bolts, so that was cool. So these bearings will go on here. I still got to take measurements, make sure everything's good to go with the original crank, which I think is good. If not, then I'll just swap out the one that's in the engine in my car now, because I know that one's good. And so the bearings will go on here, but like I said, I just got to take some measurements. These are the pistons that I ordered. Some high compression pistons from Nippon Racing. And these are them. Standard size, 81 millimeter. So those will go on the rods as well as new Nippon Racing piston rings. And then here are some bolts for the main. I think, let's see. Yeah, these are the main crank bolts that go on the bottom. Comes with the assembly lube. Nuts, washers, everything. And then also got head studs. So the head studs, of course, bolt onto the block and then tighten up the head. So yeah, that's pretty much it for what I got. Like I say, I'm still waiting on the cams, the the springs and retainers. Still waiting on the main bearings. The oil pump, I got ACR high volume oil pump. I think that's who made it, but that should be coming in hopefully next week. All right, so I'm getting these valves all seated by using this guy, which is basically just like a suction cup on a stick. And what you need to do is, first off, I just basically put them all in there until I get to each valve. And what I do is I wipe it down with some WD-40 just to clean off that coating that comes from the factory. Spray a little bit more into the guides, and then put some of this valve lapping compound on the edge right there of the valve, and then put it back in, and then just basically wiggle this around, and you'll kind of hear it kind of grinding, and then it kind of gets softer. I haven't done this in years and years, so it kind of took me a while to get the hang of it again. But after I got these 4 done, I started getting better at it. So yeah, this one I just need to put the valve grinding compound on it, and then I'll get all these seated. I'm leaving them in as I go because I don't want to mix them up after I've finished seating them. And then later on, when I'm going to clean the head for the final time to assemble it, what I'll do is I'll get like a board or something like that and mark each one, and then just put the valves where I took them off. That way I can put them back in the same way. That way I know they're seated to each individual port that's here. Otherwise, if you mix them up and this one, let's say, was seated differently than this one, you'll get an air leak. So once you grind them, keep them in the same orientation. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get all these other ones done, and that'll be it for the valve seating or the valve lapping. All right, so they're all done. They're all seated, washed. Kind of clean them up real quick. What I'll do, like I say, is when it's time to assemble the head, is I'll take all the valves back out, and then I'll just flood the whole dang thing with like brake cleaner or something like that. Take out all the grit and everything that's inside there, and just clean it really, really good, because a lot of this grit stays in there. You could actually still feel it in there, even though I used a lot of WD-40 inside those ports, but you can still feel it in there. But like I say, when it's time to put the head together, then I'll make sure and do that final cleaning and make sure none of that stuff stays in there. What is up, guys? So, Tuesday morning, and it looks like I finally have everything that I need to get this head put back together. So, I got the Skunk 2 cams, Stage 1 Pro Series. I already got the valves seated or lapped, so those are all ready to go. I took them out and I made this little board with holes drilled in it, and I marked each one where I took them out so I could put them exactly the way I seated them. That way they were completely sealed. I don't have to worry about a thing. Yesterday, got these in. I got the titanium retainers and all of the springs. So, and of course, got the cams right there. Solenoid housing, which I've already had, and so yeah, everything's here. I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting together this mess over. I just have these kind of sitting on here because I wanted to remind myself on how I took them apart. So I had to go to AutoZone and I got some of the Lucas assembly lube because I had ordered the Permatex Ultra Slick, and I ordered it way before I ordered any of this stuff, and it still hasn't come in. So I'm assuming that it's been lost in the mail. And I had went over to O'Reilly's, and they just had the cheapo type tar looking assembly lube, which I don't really like. But I seen somebody else on YouTube using this stuff, and he seems to like it a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use this to assemble this head, and hopefully when the Ultra Slick stuff comes in, I'll use that to assemble the bottom end. If not, if this stuff works good, I'll just use this because I bought 2 bottles of it anyway. So I've managed to get 3 of the springs on, and because these dual springs are way harder to compress than the OEM ones, this is junk. This doesn't even work. My homemade one that I was using keeps on slipping. I can't even compress it enough to get the little little stays that are there to hold the top of the valve retainer on. So I'm gonna head over, I guess, to a couple of auto parts stores, and hopefully they have the really nice one that kind of comes around and it has a, you know, you can clamp it and it compresses it all the way. If not, I'm gonna have to make something, because this is, I've just, these 3 right here has taken me probably about an hour and a half maybe. Went to 3 different auto parts stores. 2 of them had the same junky spring compressor that didn't work, so went to AutoZone and they had something a little bit different. So hopefully this one is going to work. See, this is, everybody had this guy right here, and this one doesn't work at all. So I'm hoping this one works. It's a little, it's actually really nice because you could use the impact on the top there to press it, or use this little handle. So yeah, let's see if this works. I'm going to continue on this guy.
You disgrace! You are everything that's gone wrong in this world. You are self-consumed, no talent, mediocre piece of shit! I'm stressed the fuck out.
This doesn't work either. Got the spring on there. Got it compressed. It's hitting right there. Hits right there. It just doesn't go in. This arm right here needs to be about this long in order for this to travel far enough down in there to compress it. This has to be even further down. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't work either. I went in and got a couple of things from the hardware store, and I can hopefully fabricate something that, I don't know, can compress this spring. Success! Well, yesterday, I basically made this contraption here to help me compress these springs that for some reason I just couldn't get. And so it had taken me, what, about an hour to do just the 3 springs with that other one that I had. That other homemade one that I had that fell apart. So I made this guy, and it took me an hour to do all of these ones and all of these ones up to here. I just got 3 more to go. Basically what this is a clamp that I got from the hardware store. I welded on this little guy so it sits flush against here. I got a piece of all thread, threaded this the same. It was already close enough, but it was a little bit more coarse than this thread. So, you know, once I threaded it, it came in real nice. And then I welded a nut up on top so I can use the impact to compress the spring. So all I do is put this on here, of course. Okay, so the bottom sits and holds the valve in place so it doesn't compress when you're pushing this down. This guy I made, kind of like these forks, goes into here, sits in that little groove that I made down at the bottom, and then I can just slide this down. Like I say, it's kind of hard to do this with one hand, but there we go. So that's there like that. And then I just use the impact to compress the spring. So that's how that works. And like I say, yesterday it took me about an hour just to do everything. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting in these retainers, and then I can move on to putting on the cams and bolt everything down. other than putting the housing for the VTEC solenoid and the housing here for the coolant, this head is pretty much done. I torqued all of the bolts on top, and so those are all torqued down. I went over them twice because after I did it the first time and did a couple of revolutions on the cam gear, I went back and they still needed to be torqued down, so I did it twice. So the head is done. I'm going to be straightforward here. That was not easy. It was a pain just compressing those springs. I had to make that special tool. But hopefully, I don't see why it wouldn't work, but it's one of those things where I've always run a stock engine with, just basic bolt-ons like intake and, exhaust, just basic bolt-ons. I've never delved into actually putting major upgrades like these valves and springs and retainers, all this other stuff. I have built blocks or engines before, not to this degree. I've replaced piston rings and valves and just stock stuff. I haven't gone through upgrading, high performance stuff like this. I don't know what to expect as far as power gains go or anything like that. I know I really want to take the car to get tuned as soon as I get it running, which means driving it about 3 hours from where I live. Springs, everything's all in there. And so I guess on to the block, which is another thing. The only thing I'm waiting on is the oil pump. So that's supposed to be in today, I think. But I really don't need it to start putting in the bearings for the crankshaft, and start assembling the rods and pistons, making sure all the rings are grooved, not grooved, but spaced properly. So yeah, it's this, like I say, was not easy, but it's going to be all worth it in the end, I think. After thinking about it, I was really kind of rushing trying to get this car started, and finding out that the rings were frozen in the piston and on the landings. And over time, if I would have just said, oh, whatever, and then just kept on going and took it for a ride or something like that, I would have just completely destroyed everything. So yeah, I'm glad things are kind of working the way they are. I'm finding all these problems or these things that need to be replaced. I'm basically going to have a brand new engine when all is said and done. New everything. Everything's new. If you guys are watching these videos, first of all, thanks for watching them. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and share all these videos. If you guys are hopefully watching these videos through this pandemic, stay safe out there, of course. Hopefully these videos are entertaining you while you guys are bored or whatever. But yeah, shout out to all the subscribers, all my friends that watch the videos, and all the guys that I look to on YouTube to get inspiration. So thanks.